150 races across 175 years, and still the university boat race can surprise us with something new. Not only a Sunday start, but a Sunday evening start. The race is due off at 6 o'clock, which certainly adds something extra to the traditional mood of celebration down the famous 4 1/4 mile course. No TV pictures of the first race in 1829, but today the next best thing as we see a fascinating recreation of the race that started it all. 1829 spec, two crews of old blues getting to grips with the rather primitive technology of the boat race 175 years ago. And they've all been training since December. Very different technique required, no sliding seats, no swiveling out riggers, no lycra as well. A lot of adaptation required.
It's a very, very difficult thing to deal with. And you can see the pain here. It's taken them about 7 minutes or so longer than a normal boat race would take.
Kevin Wyman encouraging his crew over the final strokes, and the first success of the afternoon in the 1829 race. These boats rebuilt as close as possible to those boats. Cambridge are the winners. But the first success as Oxford crossed the line is to Cambridge in the 1829 fixture. The two crews are now the other side of Putney Bridge before they come to the stake boats in, a little under 10 minutes now, and make their way down this 4 1/4 mile course. Well, that's before they do go down that course in company with Dan Topolsky.
This race is not just about the skill and endurance of the rowers, it's also about tactics, attacking and defending on key points of the course, like the corners, especially this first one 2 minutes into the race at Craven Cottage. I reckon it's this point here where Oxford are going to try to make as much advantage as they can on the corner. It's worth about 1/3 of a length. Sometimes the coxes steer too close together and clash as they fight for the fastest stream. The rowers hate it though, it upsets the rhythm of the boat. Then it's on to the big 4-minute Surrey bend at Hammersmith, worth 3/4 of a length for the crew on the inside.
They can push them wide at Hammersmith Bridge and then close the door on them.
The end of the bend is the halfway point, and the advantage now changes back to the Middlesex right-hand side of the river, at the bandstand. With just 4 minutes to go, into Barnes Bridge. The rules say they've got to go through the middle arch. This is the last big bend, worth 3/4 of a length.
I think the next minute through this bridge could be absolutely critical.
This is the last chance for the crew on the right to regain ground lost around the Hammersmith bend. And then it's a minute sprint to the finish.
And the international appeal is underlined by the composition of the crews. Only 2 British rowers in the Cambridge lineup, and Wayne Pollman is effectively sacrificing a Canadian seat in the Olympics to take part. Oxford have more British rowers in their crew, but is that a good thing for British rowing, the international element taking part in this race, Steve?
I think it's got to be a good thing. Over the history of the boat race, there's always been a lot of foreign people involved in it. But the more experience, the days like this, the pressure these guys are under for today is just unbelievable. The amount of press and media build up to this, all that experience, if they've got an international future after this, that's got to put them in very good stead.
And one of the overseas rowers in the Cambridge lineup, Sebastian Meyer, who hit the physical wall here in the latter stages 2 years ago in the most comprehensive fashion. He's back in the race. But
even for an Oxford man, you've got to admire his bravery.
The crowds now really gathering on the hard at Putney, waiting for the main event of the afternoon. The 150th boat race, almost off, started in 1829 when George IV was on the throne. Her Majesty is the 8th monarch since then. Race that started before the charge of the Light Brigade, 100 years before the Wall Street crash. Just imagine. Well, angles can be deceiving, but it does look as though Cambridge have a slight advantage, but they're away. Cambridge nearer camera. Let's hear what the coxes are saying.
Legs, backs, backs on, backs, wide, 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 wide.
Cambridge Cambridge off at 43.40, but looking straight down now from the helicopter, it looks as if Oxford have got the faster start. That's going to be very important for them because they know that Cambridge have got the initial advantage after 3 minutes. The first bend to Cambridge.
They're both at 41.5 now, both at 41.5 strokes, but Oxford have gone straight into a lead of about a third of a length, even to half a length now. Both at 41. Oxford are going to look to maintain this speed, this fast takeoff. They can do that for a minute before they start to settle into their stride. But they certainly have gone away very, very fast indeed.
And so far, this is a repeat of the ISIS Goldie race. They're in the same stations then, although the toss was decided differently.
I think definitely it was a very fast start for Oxford. Cambridge seemed to be a little bit slow, I thought, by their own standards, but settling is the first thing. And as they come out towards the end of the line of this boat, we can see that still about half to two-thirds of a length to Oxford.
They're getting very close together there. Cambridge have moved quite close to Oxford, and they're just missing those blades there. The two-man against the Oxford stroke man, very close indeed. They're separating again now.
So we're coming to the end of Fulham Bridge. Let's hear from Gary Herbert.
Aidan Nethercott really pushing on now. He's taken out through and away from the black void, and Colin Smith
very
is just
dangerous
taken
here.
Nice and sharp, and really a big bend, big Fulham bend here. They've got to really put the pressure on Cambridge.
They are
But so
incredibly
far,
close,
getting
and
very
the
close.
Oxford
Very
Cox
close
in some
indeed. But
danger
now
here.
big
But Ken Richardson trying to gain some advantage with this bend, but they are clashing unbelievably. Dan.
Yeah, Oxford are pushing across, trying to get the benefit of the corner a little bit. Cambridge pushing out, trying to hold their line. That was very, very close, very, very difficult for both coxswains. They came very close together. Now they're beginning to take the corner. But all of that was happening before the corner started.
As I said, the young Cox Ken has done a good job there because he's really had to hold his line. He was pushed very hard by Oxford Cox, and I'm amazed that they managed to stay without catching a crab there. It was.
Well, it's made a difference for Cambridge. They've now closed up that gap and may even just have their bow in front.
Cambridge have moved back very, very, very well indeed. Oxford had about two-thirds of a length then. Cambridge have pulled right back, and in fact, if anything, Cambridge have moved back.
Well, credit to the young 19-year-old who certainly was dicing with fate.
Sitting at 36. Drop catches a little earlier. Go!
And a push here from Oxford, sitting at 36, he was saying, but Cambridge now showing maybe two-man advantage.
Cambridge have certainly turned hard there. They've made that bend, they've made their turn. And we know this bend's worth about quarter of a length, and that's more or less what Cambridge have got. So they've recovered off the start.
We're still moving. They're pushing.
Have to get used now, Dan, to going a long distance side by side. How much has that taken out of Cambridge to get back into the lead?
Well, it's interesting. They're coming very close together again there. Very close together. That's very, very dangerous there for both coxes, and the umpire's working very hard to try and keep them apart. That's big overlap there. Big crab there from the bowman in the Oxford boat. That's Chris Kennelly, got caught badly there, and that's knocked Oxford back by quite a bit. Some damage there. Kennelly has stopped rowing.
There's real trouble here. He's either off his seat, something's happened.
He's just picked it up now, he's got back onto his seat, and they have lost a length there. Cambridge have moved right ahead to about a length.
It's very hard to see from this point, but there could well be an appeal against that. Now this banging into one another is extremely disruptive, and it's in nobody's interest. And this time it's cost Oxford a great deal from that clash.
Look at the crowds in the background. People thought that the race being late might mean not so many people would be on the banks, but they've turned up in their thousands again. Fascination for this private battle that belonged to the public. Cambridge coming towards Chiswick Bridge, coming towards the finish.
It's certainly full of surprises, isn't it? It's never the same 2 years running. This is perhaps one outcome we never thought would happen.
And the last few strokes will bring Cambridge home to win the 150th boat race and to stop Oxford's run at 2. There's the winning president, the delighted German, the happy Scot, the even more delighted German, and the American hugging him. But here come Oxford, gamely to the finish. Not the race we had hoped for. Very, very difficult decision for James Berrant. Clearly they felt that they were fouled. The rudder was hard left, said Asa Nethercott. That's the rudder of the Cambridge boat, i.e. it came straight of the Oxford boat. The Cambridge boat came straight into the Oxford boat and as a result denied the Oxford crew fair water and fair competition.